Got it. All right. So welcome everybody. Good morning from me. I'm on 6 a.m. time zone. Welcome to this chat. My name is Eunice Nyandat. I am the CEO of My Biz Marketer. We do digital marketing and advertising for startups and SMEs. Welcome to this chat. I'm so happy to have Janet on. Janet and I have done collabs on some things, and so excited to have her chatting with us about marketing campaigns, and she knows a thing or two about those. So welcome, Janet, and welcome to you all from wherever you're logging in from. Reema, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thanks, Eunice. Thanks very much. So my name is Reema, and I'm the founder and CEO of Ardy Marketing. I'd like to welcome every one of you over here. Of course, you might have already heard about who we are in terms of Ardy Marketing and My Biz Marketer. But what we do is we help organizations with their marketing needs, right? So whatever it is that you need help with in terms of marketing, we're able to assist you, whether it's video strategy or social media strategy or reputation marketing. I mean, there's so many different things that we do that helps you to actually communicate to your potential clients in the best way possible. And we're excited. I mean, also some of the people that may have already come to some of our previous sessions, I'll just repeat this, but we do 2 sessions like this every month. So we do a webinar, which we did earlier this month on the 12th of August. We had run a marketing campaign, how to implement and execute. So we've got those, the webinar was awesome. We had a very good turnout and we had lots of questions. And, so today is kind of like follow up on the marketing campaigns, and we've of course got Janet joining us today. She's a social media marketing strategist at Africa Tweet Chat Academy, and we're super excited to have her here. I'm gonna let Janet actually introduce herself. Janet, can you do that?
Sure.
Welcome.
Thank you. I like the fact that the faces that I'm seeing and the names I'm seeing on the webinar are familiar. So that's a plus. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. As you have heard my name is Janet Machuka, and I am the founder of Africa Tweet Chat. I know most of the people know me from community marketing or community chats, and also the fact that I'm an influencer and a digital marketing strategist. But what people don't know is that I work behind an agency called Sparks Corporates, where we partner with Barack Onyango, who is still the co-founder of Africa Tweet Chat. So what we basically offer is exactly what you ladies are offering. So marketing, we do filming. At the same time, we lead in influencer marketing campaigns, especially on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. For TikTok, well, I haven't thought about that. So I'm looking forward to be inspired from these conversations to think of focusing on TikTok campaigns. Yeah, so that's the bit about me. Looking forward to more conversations.
So, welcome. All right. Let's kick it off. We're seeing people joining in as we are talking, and I want to kick it off right off the bat and ask you, Janet, what was your most difficult campaign ever? If you can ever think of, you can remember most difficult. We've got a few. What was your most difficult campaign? Without dropping a brand name, but just can describe.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, don't drop the T.
But,
yes,
I'll pick. It is this industry of the first time I did a marketing campaign for banking industry. For me, it was so new. I'm used to those conversations that are easy to communicate, easy to talk to people, and the conversations that people will openly talk about it. But when it comes to money, everybody pulls back. They're like, I'm not gonna share anything about my savings, my habits, and even the way I do it. So it was very difficult to actually engage people as much as I was getting retweets, the likes, or we are getting the awareness itself, the engagement of people responding and commenting, the conversation bit was very hard, because people were pulling back from the questions that we were asking. But I also learned something out of it. When it comes to people and money, and maybe talk about the savings, is that people don't want to feel like you are attacking them when you're talking about their savings, or when you're talking about their finances and how they are budgeting their monthly salary. You should at least make them feel like you really do understand the fact that there's so many things happening in their lives. There's so many life interactions. Talk about even the COVID-19, that came as unaware. Most of us were caught unaware. We were like, okay, we're thinking of doing this, then everything changes suddenly. So there's that bit of humanity and adding the empathy, regardless of the fact that you are in the middle of a pandemic or not. Because to make people talk about their finances, you really need to get into their inner, their minds, their emotions. So that's something I think, for me, it was very hard, but it was a great opportunity for me to learn too. So it added a plus, but now I can comfortably say that, yes, I'm working with different brands who deal with money and circles, and I'm grateful.
So what would you advise an SME or a marketer? Let's go with the marketer, because we've got a few in here who are struggling with a campaign and are trying to connect the dot, or maybe they were having they have a specific industry and they're having challenges in that campaign. Either it's connecting with the audience, of getting even the metrics, or even figuring out, how do I start that campaign? What do you think is the first thing they should do? Because sometimes we want to jump right in, and I think, I know this, we're just going to do an email campaign, we're going to do some social media, we're going to throw in a little engagement quiz here, or tweets here, and it's an Instagram reel or Instagram story, and we'll get something, right? And then it doesn't come through. What would you say we do?
As much as we usually say, know your audience, or know the platforms and what have we, that is always there. We always put it aside. But the question is, this person who is going to represent this brand, especially if you look at a startup, I will choose my biz marketer. The person who is going to represent my biz marketer the best is not Janet Machuka as an influencer, or Janet Machuka as a strategist, but Eunice Nyandat. So how can we package her to a point that, in as much as we are doing this campaign, there is something she can also be doing on the side, because she understands the vision, she understands where she wants this campaign to get her company or her startup to, So as much as we look at the outside audience, can we look internally? What are we able to do as a startup, the teams who are part of it? Can we do something? Can we add more value to the campaign so that it can look more authentic and real, because we believe in it?
I like authentic.
Yes, that's awesome. So we forget to include the internal, right? So the internal teams would participate in the campaigns as well, right? So myself, fantastic. Reema, you wanted to add?
Yes, I wanted to say something. When we do campaigns, we do forget internal as well, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing that we need to sell, the biggest place we need to sell it to. Because first of all, I mean, when we're doing a campaign, right, we have the objective. What is the objective? What do we want to achieve out of this campaign? Is it just brand awareness? Is it, we want to get leads? Is it something that we want to mobilize? Is it something, what do we want to do? What's the objective of the campaign? And then once we've actually figured that out, of course, there's the steps that you need to follow. We gave a resource last time about the steps to follow and stuff like that. One of the things that we said within the steps to follow is, make sure you let the internal team know what you're doing, because they are your biggest loyal people who can then share it with the audience that's out there. And you've got to have a buy-in, of course, from your internal audience as well, right?
Yeah.
Your first customer is never the outside customer. It's your internal customer.
Starting with you.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually that really works for, especially for the startups. That's what is working for most of them, because the owners, the CEOs, the founders, they push themselves to be at the forefront, to encourage the teams who are doing the marketing to also see, like, you know what, if our CEO is doing it, why not join him, you know? But when the CEO is out, the face is out, he is not nowhere, he's not on social media, he doesn't want to appear in the media interviews, then we want to be motivated.
Yeah.
So then, Janet, then how did you get? I'm the marketer here, and I'm trying to get the CEO engaged and involved. You know, managing up, right? Hey, we're doing this campaign. Can you tweet this? Can you comment and retweet and add your thoughts in this? And you're finding it difficult to get them to engage and be part of this. How do you manage up?
I think it's not a matter of them coming to the tweets that you have shared so that they can retweet and engage, or tweeting from their platforms. There are other things that they can do. One, they can represent the campaign. There are different forums that they actually are attending, where they are representing the company as the heads of the company. You know, it can be the media interviews, it can be the other workshops planned somewhere. Talking about the campaign that they are running, or as in pulling it in within their conversations, it's also giving them like a new audience. You're giving them the awareness bit, and you are encouraging your employees and your people, your juniors, to be able to see the essence of even talking about your brand when you are in a place where you are the speaker, or you are sharing some ideas somewhere, you know, like right now when we started, remember, we started with our introduction. We shared our companies. We talked about what we do. We have already marketed, you know. We didn't specifically say, okay, we are running this campaign, you know, from our company, and we need you guys to go and check it. But still, we made people know that this is what we do. So if you want to check us, maybe after this session, we'll be able to share our handles, there's some people who already have had our names, the companies, and they're searching as they listen to us. So that is what I'm talking about, the support. It doesn't have to be directly aiming the campaign, but it can pull into that the efforts of the marketers who are strategizing, who are doing the engagement on social media, to bring audience to the pages so that they can see what is happening. Because the moment I speak about my brand, ATC, you will go and check it. Maybe there's a campaign that I'm running. That's a new audience that I've received from your site.
True. So how do you get them to, so what is the communication way? How do you get them to go, okay, wait, you probably will send an email to them, hey, there's this workshop, there's this event, or we'd like you to, Nation Media is doing an article about this. Could you write a comment about that? Is that the way you then approach them to then get engaged in this, to add value to the campaign? Because some of our marketers will fear going upwards and getting senior management to get involved in whatever campaigns they're trying to get involved. Because you could pitch a story to media, and then that adds well to the campaign that's going on digital and whatever, but you're afraid to talk it up to management. How do you approach the management then?
I think all this actually goes into the connection and the relationships that you create internally within your team. So it's not a matter of, when I enter this room or when I walk into the office, everybody gets quiet. Yes. Sometimes you should be worried as a leader when you see people behaving differently when you walk into a room. So it is okay to have that, we are all human. And we all want to connect to the next person. We want them to understand our position, at the same time, not to lose that connection with us. So it has to come from the internal team. That is why sometimes it's very easy to work with startups other than the already developed companies. Why? Because everyone is hands-on when it comes to the startup.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to put in something.
Yes.
But in order to make sure that the other brands, now the big brands that have been there for years, to at least see that essence of social media or how to involve in something like adding value, is us now pushing it hard to create the connection. And I think this still lies within the marketing department and the PR department, because we need to create that. We need to nudge them. We need to create that relationship first before you just pop up in the office and be like, you know what? Standard Media have called and we need your comments, and they'll be like, no, I don't want that, my face, I don't want to comment. But the approach can be in a way that they will be soothed, and then they will feel, yeah, you really do care. And if you look at it from the point of, you know what, at the end of the day, you don't want to leave this company and leave a title that you held, you know, you want to get out as a personal brand for yourself, because out there, people are going to remember you because of what you did to this brand. Agreed. So it does have to be a lot of conversations and engagements to create that relationship.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love the whole thing that you said. You're a personal brand, right?
Yeah.
So even if you're not the CEO of the company, what you're doing, your digital strategist, you're the person who's doing it doesn't matter. You're a personal brand, and how you actually portray yourself makes such a huge difference, because that is what people pay to get you on board for something, right? That's your I feel like that's your personal campaign.
Yep, true.
That's like a personal campaign, and I completely love it. And I love the fact that you said something about, you know, gelling together as you know, it's not just when you need something. You've got to create that relationship with the right people, you know, and if that means doing team building sessions or, you know, like having constant communication, that's super important. I think, in fact, communication is such a key factor within any organization, whether small or large. You know, having those communication gaps open are really, really important. So I know we've got some questions already, and one of the questions was about influencer marketing, but I'm just going to pause that one for just a minute, because I want to, once we get into an influencer, I know it's going to sort of cascade. I know there's quite a bit of questions on that. My question here is on campaigns. One of the things that we realize, of course, is that you don't, well, if you have a really massive budget, you can say, I want everybody to know about this. So you do your newspaper ads, you do your billboards, you do your online, you know, you put so much effort into it, right? You've got so much, like a big, really massive budget. You can do sorts of video ads. You can have, like, you know, the screen that's on the street that's actually, you know, playing your video. Those things are not cheap. They're expensive. And so if you have the budget, of course, you know, you can do that. But I want you to speak a little bit about targeted marketing or targeted audience. You know, because it also, like, I know that when we're doing digital, because a lot of people, when they come to us, because, you know, at Ardy Marketing, we do both online and offline marketing. But for online marketing, a lot of people want to go into it and say, yes, I want Facebook, I want Instagram, I want Twitter, I want, you know, but then talk a little bit about the target audiences and platforms, which, you know, how do you work with those when you're doing your strategies?
Great. I'll look at it from the online first, and then maybe I'll add into the offline. When it comes to online, you know, we know the product, we know the brand, we know the pages, and we know what we want to get at the end of the day. Talk about, there's some brands who just want the awareness. Maybe you want to do it for 1 month and then get done with that. There's some who want more conversations. They also want other media houses or other brands to realize or to recognize that they're doing a particular campaign, so that they can either start, you know, their own campaign. So people do different marketing because of different reasons. But looking at a budget where you have the budget, you want to do everything on social media. You can do the ads, you can do the influencer marketing, you can do the posting on your timeline daily, but you're wondering, where should you start from? And how should I get to the point that I have engaged the people, I have made sure the awareness bit is tick, and to some extent I'm getting the leads. Of course, you don't have to put your money in one platform. When it comes to digital, you have to be diverse. And that is from the ads to Google. It can be on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or on Instagram. So first, choose that, start with that platform you know very well. This is where my market is.
Yeah.
And you're very sure they are going to engage. They are going to stop and watch, stop and read, stop and comment. So the main thing is, can I make this audience who, maybe if it's Facebook, stop and watch and read and converse and maybe share. So if you invest in that platform first, you'll be able to know how people are receiving the content that you are sharing. Because at the end of the day, you don't just want to share content for the sake of sharing. You want to get value out of it. And you want to know if this content, is it really valuable to these people? Is it actionable? Are they responding? Are they saying something? Or I'm just investing a lot of money in amazing content, which is not actionable. Then secondly, you have to, now maybe Facebook is the major platform for you. I've done the awareness bit by identifying where your customers are the most. But again, remember, as much as you are only on the platform, you are looking at the platform where your audiences are the most. Remember, there are other platforms too. You have an audience, but they might not be buying, but they're just the fans. Especially when I look at Twitter, Twitter makes it easier for us to talk about something because we have seen it. The trends really work the best for brands, because once I see something trending, I might not think about going to click and see a lot about it, but I will remember that brand because I saw a trend on them. Maybe a conversation trickled down about them. It depends. Maybe it became too trendy, and then everybody started talking about it, or it flopped to some extent. One thing I like about doing a PR when you're using influencer marketing, it can go the right way or the wrong way, and both can make people talk. So what are you aiming at? So for Twitter, if you have to do it, you're looking at the awareness bit alone. You're not looking at how can people buy, but you're really hoping that I'm creating this journey with them, and I'm making them remember what we are doing for this 1 month, so that they can be able to either refer us to somebody who is asking about what we talked about, or they can become the fans of our content, because fans are actually the people who tend to remember us the most. Because customers are always trying to open their eyes and looking aside and saying, what is your competitor doing? What new things have they brought, But when the fan loves you, they will talk about you all the time. So look at that. What are the platforms that you can get your customers? What are the platforms that you can grow your fan base? What are the platforms that you can get the leads? And how can you generate that relationship and connection with them to a point that they will be able to buy into your product? So you have to constantly do it. As much as it's a campaign for 1 month, it doesn't stop there. You have to continue, because the customer journey is a long journey.
You are so bang on, Janet, on that matter. In fact, one of my questions in here was, do you run a one month campaign and then keep quiet? Like, what can you do after that? I mean, so you're like a 1 month, you've done ads and whatever, and then after that, no one hears from you. I mean, what is something that you would advise the SMEs, the startups? What is something that they can do, and I know consistency is important, but then I would like you to suggest on something.
Great. For startups, they're always looking out to employ people, and then they get them to do ads, or they run the marketing campaign for 1 month, and then they drop them and they feel, okay, they can't manage, let's go to another one. 1 month is not enough. I feel like 1 month is not enough to really conclusively say you are not capable of giving me these results, or you haven't attained this. I usually look at it up to 3 months. If you give somebody an opportunity to run a campaign for 3 months, you'll be able to see the journey that they are creating. Because remember, they're trying to identify your personality. They're trying to understand your audience through their conversations that they are creating, through the content that they are creating.
Okay.
At the same time, they're building a journey with fresh ideas with your audience. So 1 month is never enough. And that's why sometimes we tend to save some nice photos we see of very nice dresses on Instagram. And then 2 months later, we'll come back and check, oh, are they really available, or the stock is over, you know? So at least do a 3 months probation on somebody running a marketing campaign for your social media platforms, so that you can understand how do they do their content, how do they engage with the audience, and what are they bringing in. You know, there are some brands who actually put leads in they want a lot of leads by the end of the first month, but then they forget this. This is the first time this person is engaging with your audience. They are trying to understand your audience. They are trying to create a journey for them. They are bringing in new ideas that you have never put in your marketing campaigns or your marketing strategies. So give them time so that by the 3rd month, you can check through everything and see, is it really working or not? But something else, I don't really appreciate this idea of having, like, you have worked with 3 different individuals within a span of 5 months. You'll never grow, because you will be coming back to square one every single time you get a new person. They will start you afresh. So it's good to think about at least a 6-month plan of somebody to work with them and keep on changing some ideas which are not working. And then as you bring in others, as you remove others, you know, it helps for you to also build a relationship with this person or the social media manager or strategist, to be able to understand, how do you approach it and how do I want it to be approached? We meet in the middle.
I'd like to add to that, Reema. I'd like to add to that, in that campaign, as Janet is talking about this, is that you're collecting data. So 1 month is not sufficient, right? So then you go switch around to somebody starts collecting another set of data. So you'll never have enough data that makes sense to help you make good decisions. So you've collected data, and then one set says this about your customer base. The next person that comes, does your marketing, collects another set of data that says, so you have a hodgepodge of data that never gets you anywhere. So of course, as Janet says, you're going to have a mess in front of you and never grow, because the data is in front of you, leads in front of you may never be the right target audience, because you've never had one marketer or one set of marketing campaign that has gone through to flush out the true consumer or the true customer that is supposed to be your customer. So it's important that you see it through, so that you're able to understand who truly is your customer base, and that then you can now grow with that customer.
In fact, Eunice, what I wanted to ask you is to add to that, something that we do as MyBiz Marketer as well as Ardy Marketing is A/B testing. So as part of a campaign, I mean, some of the things that we do during that 3 months to 6 months is quite a bit of that. Can you please shed some light on that?
So the reason why you do A/B testing, you do A/B testing for 2 reasons.
First, what is A/B testing?
A/B testing is testing 2 things. You're testing your message, your imagery, your content, your structure of your campaign. The reason you do that is to see what resonates with your audience. The reason you want to do that is that so that you pick out that campaign that does better than the other. So for example, we can use Safaricom. Safaricom could use the primary color is green. We know that green is everywhere. They could use a female on their campaign, and they're trying to push a new app or new whatever. But they would choose a female standing up or sitting down, and they have the message on the right side of the female or the left side of the female. And they want to see what people connect with. Did they like, or did they not? What did they click to, or what did they not? And if it is a billboard, what caught people's eyes most? And what did they remember best? What did they remember, the message or the female? right? So it's a bunch of things. So the next thing they do in the campaign is they say, okay, we noticed that the people resonated with this message, but they also like the female standing or the female sitting. Or if they used fruit or they used a car, whatever it is, it may be people like this car versus that car. It's all about putting the right message that catches your consumer's eye. So it's the context, the contract, and the construct, and how you put it all together. Now, one thing too, it's also deciding, is it going to be print? Remember, print comes through differently from when it's video, right? Print can fall flat because it doesn't totally communicate your message, but video, because it's moving and engaging, people then connect completely. So you may want to have a print that just has all words, no humans, but all words, and it connects completely. But video, you have a person in it speaking, moving, actionable, so that people then connect and engage. And with those two, you're doing A/B testing as well to see which one then resonates most.
I love that. And I love the fact that, I mean, one of the things that you've just brought out, Eunice, is the behavior of the market at the moment is they consume video better than even a normal image, right?
Yes.
If you notice your own self, when you're going down the feed of Twitter or you're going down the feed of Instagram, you will stop when there's a video. Yeah. Why is Reels such a good place to, you can spend an hours literally, consuming video, because video is what people are, that's a trend at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. Shall we take some questions now from the chat?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I'm just going to go down the chat. We'll start with Evans Omulo, who asked, how do you identify influencers to engage when planning for a campaign? Janet?
Great, sure. I can take it up.
Yeah.
3 R's: reach, resonance, relevance. So I'll explain each. When you talk about reach,
reach, please.
Reach, relevance, resonance. 1, reach. It might not be that you're looking to reach so many people, so you go to the biggest or influencer, but you're looking at an influencer who might not have a lot of following, but still will get you to the right audience, the right target audience that you want to communicate to. So it can be a micro influencer, it can be a macro, it can be a mega influencer or a nano influencer. I know you're worried, what is all this? When you talk about,
I was going to ask you, like, maybe, I hope everybody knows what that is. If you don't know any one of these, please write in the chat, hey, I don't know what micro influencer is, or I don't know what mega influencer is, but just write in the chat as she's going on. Great.
So when you talk about the nano influencers, each and every person who has a social media platform or an account is basically a personal brand. And in one way or the other, they are influencing people in regards to what they are trying to build, which is building themselves in a particular niche. So they might not have very many influencers, just a few, but they can communicate to the end target audience that you're looking for. Those are the nano influencers. And most of the time they have less than 500 followers. But when you look at the micro influencers, they have more audiences than the nano influencers, but still they can't reach a lot of people. But when you look at the definitions from different websites and blogs, some of them will tell you micro influencers are below 100,000 followers. Others will tell you they are below 50,000. So sometimes it's very hard to differentiate them, but know that they have, yes, more audiences, but not more than 50,000, okay? When you talk about the macro influencers, now these are the ones who have now identified their audience and they really have a lot of engagement around that. And most of the time, these are people with between 50 or between 80,000 followers to around 150,000. And anybody with above those, others actually have even 1 million followers, Those are the mega influencers. They are so huge that, yes, sometimes when a brand uses them, you only think about one thing and then it goes viral. Look at an example of Beyonce. What if today she decides to post something about KFC? The whole world will react. Yeah, you know,
true.
and yeah, so there are different partnerships you're looking at when you look at the influencers. But back to what I was explaining, we were talking about looking at the reach, the resonance, and the relevance. The reach, now I've explained it, the influencer. Who do you want to reach, and what does your budget tell about which influencer you're using? Because the budget really plays a major role when it comes to influencer marketing. There's some who have big budgets, and that's why they use very big brands, big influencers, that is. There's some who have kidogo budget, very tiny, little budget. Kidogo means little budget. So they will go for the ones they feel they're comfortable and they can be able to manage that budget. When it comes to resonance, as much as you're looking at all these influencers, you just don't want to have an influencer talk about your brand, and yet they don't even resonate with it. They don't even resonate with your industry. They are not within the niche that you are operating in. So it's good to always see, can they really talk to this audience? Can they really converse? Because at the end of the day, you just don't want them to post. You want the engagement, you want the conversation, you want the feedback, you know? At the same time, you are trying to build a customer's journey. Can they be part of that? Can they help you with that? So resonance is that's all about resonance. But when it comes to relevance, whatever that they are going to explain, add in their content, will it resonate? Will it bring out some meaning to the audience? Will it bring some meaning to the brand too? Because we just don't want to have an influencer. Who is an influencer? Who is being paid our money from our budget? By the end of the day, we get nothing out of the content that they are building, they are creating. So all these must work together. And that's why sometimes it's very hard to work with one and leave out the rest. Because you want to meet that goal of talking to your target audience and maybe bringing more funds to your brand. As much as they will not be your customers, still they will be the audience which loves your brand because of your content, because of even the kind of influencer you pick to work with them. I'll give an example. I do influencer marketing at times, but most of the time I know who are my audience, because I'm the one who know who is my audience. And if you have realized, and if you have ever followed me, for those who are listening, you'll realize that I've never engaged anything to do with politics. I will never engage anything to do with the alcohol industry, or there's some industry you never see me talking about. Why? Because I feel I don't resonate with them. I don't use the product. I don't consume anything that they're selling, or I'm not even a fan. So why will I talk about something that I don't even resonate with? It's very hard to communicate.
Agreed.
Could I add to when influencer marketing started? It started very, very in a very simple and interesting way. I think this is 2004 or 5, and this was the gaming industry trying to get traction. So we had young people on Twitter, tweeting about the games they're playing, the video games they're playing, and they only had like 200, 100, or 300 followers. And there are other folks that would have thousands. Then back then, most people didn't have millions of followers, and wasn't a thing to have millions. It was except if you're a president or something, right? And so the video game developers would go to those guys, and they only wanted the guys with less than 350 followers, because these guys knew each and everybody that followed them. Why? Because those guys talk to each other. So what level are you? I'm at level 6 and I'm doing this and this and this and this. So talk to what? I'm stuck here, blah, blah, blah. These guys are constantly communicating. So the gaming industry would use this, and this is micro, nano, whatever of influencers, would use these guys to help them develop their games even further. So they would follow them, ask them to now engage with each other and ask them to even try new games, even getting feedback. And because they're consuming the product, they are engaging, they're all about it. It made sense. And that's how that game would grow. So when you're even thinking about that influencer, look at what that person is talking about, not the numbers. Look at the reach that person has with the audience that you're looking at. So if it's a fashion stylist, for example, and she probably has 500 people that follow her because she does all these fantastic styles, right? Mm-hmm. Talk to her, because if you're selling, you're a fashion designer, talk to her. Don't go looking for somebody who has 1,000 and to blow up my brand. No, you want to talk to that stylist who's going to go try on your blouse, and then she's getting people talking about your blouse, and then that spreads word of mouth about your brand. Begin there. So your Kadogo budget, your small budget, does much more for you at that level, and then you begin to grow. So that's some of the strategies you could use to get started with that at influencer level.
So I just want to add to that as well, is that sometimes you don't have a big budget, it's fine, but you can give something like a free sample to somebody and say, can you just write something about this on your page,
Yeah.
And so then that way also so the person who's writing something about you, or the micro or nano influencer or whatever it is, they don't have it as cash, but they have it as a product that they've actually used. And if they liked it, that becomes relevant as well, right? So for example, you say, look, if you like it, then you use it and then say something about it. If you don't like it, then it's okay, give me feedback. But then you get real good feedback from people as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be money. Am I right, Janet? Sorry.
Yes. I really want to add something too. I really appreciate the fact that Eunice brought this up. You don't have to have a big budget for you to be able to work with an influencer. Look at your friends, look at your network, the ones you constantly talk to. They have their social media followers, their social media accounts, and they have followers. Why shouldn't we start there? Those are influencers who actually understand you and they can push it for you because they know your passion. And this reminds me of another thing. You don't have to work with big influencers because you must. Work with them because you have a budget and you want the awareness, not the customers. The reason why I'm saying this is the fact that most of the time you find that the big influencers are too busy for your brand. And most of the time, the audience that is following them, they are following them for different reasons. So you find maybe I followed you because I saw you marketing about Coca-Cola. I loved the way you packaged the content, so it became one of your fans. There are some who are just fans because, you know what, Janet has, she talks about these things and they want to be part of them. There are some who follow you because of the tips that you share. So we have different audiences. So it's good to single out to know which influencer can give me this and this and this. So in your objectives, when you're going to pick your influencers, even in your strategy, know who influencer is going to give me the reach, the visibility, and the awareness. Know which influencer is going to create the engagements and the conversations. Know which engagement is going to give me the conversion of leads. If the moment I start using them, can they give me that conversion? And that's why Eunice talked about, even if they have 300 followers, they are good at their fashion, at the fashion industry. They're speaking to those people who love that, because you can see the engagement, you can see the responses. And that again reminds me of something else. Before you pick an influencer, see what kind of value you're going to get at the end of the day. There are some accounts, maybe mine is one of them, because nobody is perfect. You find that we have a lot of likes, retweets, but nobody is going to give us any feedback. And we want that conversation. Yeah. We want more than the amplification. We want more than the association. We want more than just the acknowledgement. I saw it. Okay, those are types of engagement I've brought in for those who are wondering what I'm talking about.
Yes.
When you talk about acknowledgement is when somebody's like, okay, I like it. You like, and then move on. You're not spending more time to see what is it or to internalize and think through about the post. When you talk about association is when I have seen the content, I have resonated with it to a point that I've decided I will add my opinion. Or I'll add my feedback. That is something positive when you see it for a brand or for an influencer who is representing your brand. When you see something like amplification, somebody who loves your content to a point of amplifying it means they want you to reach more people. Other people need to see this. When I retweet your content, I'm like, okay, I need people to see what Eunice said. I need people to see what Reema said. So I'll share it to my page. And in action, when you have added more links to it, to that point, you need to take people through a journey. And that's why we keep on saying a marketing strategy campaign doesn't have to run just for 1 month. You have to remind people. That is why Coca-Cola has a good feel, makes us have a good feeling, even if we don't drink it.
Yep.
Because they never stop.
Yes.
They never stop.
It's
not like, oh, this month I've done something and then next month I won't do it. They constantly in your mind because they do not want you to forget them at
exactly.
all. Right. So the visibility is right there. So even if you're thinking, oh, and people are going to be thirsty all the time. So when they see that billboard or they see that ad or whatever, they're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is there another question?
I love that, Janet. Yes. We can go to the next question. I'm loving this, by the way. I'm so psyched out. So we've got Awar Otieno, who asks, apart from the online marketing, what other marketing campaigns work well for nonprofits?
That's obvious. I feel like that's obvious because we have so many communities. Because communities actually are the ones who push a lot when it comes to CBOs or organizations. If you bring people together, especially people trying to identify themselves, who are trying to learn new things and engage with other people, especially the students in campuses and in colleges, they always want to be part of the community, giving back to the community. So why not build one community? I have mine on social media, but it's not going to help with the offline unless I start a workshop. So for you, why don't you start a community? Help the community. And that's how actually you're going to grow, because people will remember you for what you did to other people. Yeah, especially when you're present and you're giving your all. It's not about the best logos at times when it comes to the offline. It's what is that thing you did to us? What is that way you impacted this society, this community, this person? Yeah, and that is why CSR is one of the major things that keeps on selling all the time.
Absolutely. I agree.
Love that. Yeah. And, just to add to that as well, a lot of campaigns are outreach campaigns, and outreach campaigns are not necessarily online. You will never hear about them because they actually went to the target audience community. So that community they went to and they set up a desk or a tent and they talked to the people, or they went door to door, talking about and then giving them flyers or giving them information or doing t-shirts and stuff like that. So this is now where you do, a community outreach. You could sit at a mall and the people coming in and out of that space again, if that's where your audience is, for example, what kind of thing are you creating an awareness for? Because a lot of times it's sensitizing people. So a lot of nonprofit doing sensitization, doing awareness about a particular item in this community. So then just going to that outreach is super important to that particular community. Is really, really important. I love that. And loving the questions, guys. Yeah.
Quick add, Reema, I was going to say, be aware of the times. I'm going to say, be aware of the times and what the community needs, the society at the time. Like currently, we're going through trauma. The entire world is going through trauma. If you're a nonprofit, look at supporting whatever geographic you are, if it's 10-kilometer radius, mental health, grief counseling. People are losing people all the time. Stress at work. what can you do? Is it walks? Is it meditation? Is it what can you do to ease pain in the society that you're in? Is it a food drive? So very simple things. They don't even have to take money. Even bringing people together and they share a cup of tea and talk. It in a social distancing way. Think about things you could do, even just people talking, because people are experiencing such stress. So I would say, as a nonprofit, you sit and look at the society you're in, look at what it's going through, what aches and pains and struggles are happening, and examine and look and see what impact, where can we impact the most, and where can we make a difference the most, and go for it.
I love that. Great, Eunice. Thanks for that. Okay, so carrying on with the questions that are coming in, how do you integrate employee advocacy to a social media campaign? It's what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, I love that.
That's a very interesting question, because I remember I had a conversation with another brand the other day, last week, and then they kept on wondering, how are we going to package ourselves? Because, we don't sell our product directly, but we sell it to another party so that they can sell it to the audiences. But still, people, because they know what we are, our chain, our industry, they think we are the ones supplying, yet we are just creating, we are not supplying, So for that case, especially if you are in any industry, the best way to make your employee talk about your brand is first of all, create that relationship. We repeat that, because relationship is what is the way you treat your people, the way you treat your employees is how they're going to represent you as a brand. Some of them will be even fighting each other who will be going to a certain workshop to represent us, because everybody wants to go. So it is good to create that relationship. And then secondly, use their stories through the way they experience it in your company, the way the ones who are preparing the services, if it's the services that you're offering, the ones who are packaging the products, the ones who are selling on the ground, the ones who are, those are some of the stories people want to see, the realness. They want to understand your brand is not just the name. It has people in it who are taken care of, who feel happy being about it, and who can share those stories. And we can capture those stories through the videos. We can capture them through the photos if you're doing a CSR, and if we are doing the team building that Eunice talked about, we can share that, because that is part of making them feel like, yes, I'm part and parcel of this brand. So me helping this brand grow is also growing my personal brand, because at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself, your personal brand, and personal brands grow when you are somewhere, you represent somewhere, you give value when you're at that brand or company, so that by the time you leave, you'll have a story to tell too. So treat your employees the best so that they can be your mouthpiece.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Agree. I don't even want to add to that. It's perfectly said.
It really is. I'd also don't want to add anything to that as well, Janet. So everybody, like I said, if you had joined us a little bit later, we do My Biz Marketer as well as Ardy Marketing. We do this twice in a month. We run a webinar every month. So early in the month, we run a webinar, and we will share with you what that is. So I don't know where that sound is coming from. There's a lot of banging. Where's the
bang? Ellie, mute yourself, please.
Okay, there. Got it.
There we go.
Wow. Okay. She's at a construction site, so that's great.
Yes.
You joined us on the construction
Ellie.
site. Thank you. Okay, so I was saying that if you guys have joined us a little bit later and you don't know, we do this as Ardy Marketing and My Biz Marketer. We do this twice in a month. Early on in the month, we had actually run a webinar around marketing campaign. I'm going to ask one of the team members to share on the chat the link to the recording from our last webinar. Please do go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. So even when you miss out something, you get a notification on anything that we're doing, for that month. And so we have one webinar and one chat like this. We call it a coffee chat, where we have people like Janet coming in to answer our specialized and expertise questions. So I'm really excited that we're here. So yeah, like I said, let's share some of those links for the YouTube channel. So in case you have actually missed it, you can always go and have a look at that. I had mentioned earlier about the resource tool that we gave to everybody during our last webinar as well. If you missed that out, there is a link to that. So I'm going to ask again the team to put that link in here, so it helps you, guides you through the campaign, what to do before the campaign, what to do during the campaign, what to do after the campaign. It's a great resource to have for yourselves. We have a marketing plan as well. So again, you plug that marketing plan in as well, so it can help you as you're doing your marketing campaigns, right? So that's just a bit of a plug in there. All right, so carrying on with the questions that we have in here, let me see. Okay, Evans asks another question that is really nice. Is there a way you can run a campaign at no cost?
Totally. That's a yes, 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 yes. The reason why I'm saying that, the other day I actually did a thread on how to run any campaign at a zero cost. And there are quite a lot of ways that you can do that. One, if you can make people feel part and parcel of something valuable, something extra other than the products that you sell or the services that you're selling as a company, they will feel like they need to talk about you. They need to share about you. One example is this webinar. We are going to share about it. There are some people actually tweeting and tagging you, tagging me. That is an easy way to do marketing on a zero budget, because people feel that they're gaining value from you. And so when they're sharing, they mention you too. So we have done the marketing. Secondly, you build a community. You have a community as my biz marketer and Ardy Marketing. We are here. We are here to listen. We are here to pick insights. You constantly are marketing yourselves. I've heard you, Reema, talk about your brand, what you're doing. Eunice talked about it. So we have represented our brands. We haven't spent anything, but at the end of the day is the value that you're giving people for their time they're spending with us. Yeah. Another thing, we have different people representing our brands. Eunice represents my best marketer. Reema, you're representing Ardy Marketing. I'm representing Africa T-shirt. I, as a personal brand, wherever I go, I have to carry that name. Wherever I am as a speaker, I have to start by representing myself, who I am, what do I do, which company do I work with. I've already given them the awareness of 200 people in the forum or in the webinar, And then something else is people usually forget fast. It's not about your business or your products or your services all the time. What is it you can do to people other than that? Yes. And that lies on what are other societal issues that you can be part of, that you can promote on social media, that you can talk about. Because at the end of the day, you don't want people to look at it and be like, okay, Janet, you're going to sell again. They want to gain something out of you. It can be away from your brand, but still in line with what you're doing and in support. And people love brands which support societal issues that are relatable to them and that are adding an impact to them, And then something else is, can you leverage on other people's platforms, especially people with a lot of engagements? So these are thought leaders. These are experts in their areas. These are people who drive a lot of engagements on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, wherever you can find them. Can you make your brand feel like a person so that you can be part of those comments, the opinions that you're sharing or adding more insights? And that is why you find that some brands will go all out to respond to my texts, to my tweets, and others will choose not to. Why? And I might choose actually to retweet, share, anything I want to do because I love your opinion. But that person who feels like, okay, I don't have to use my brand to respond to anything, to be part of any conversations, people won't know you, because your work is just, you want people to come and get you on your timeline. Who told you we know you exist? Can we see that you exist? Come, find the platforms, be part of them, Yeah, that's how I
Absolutely, I
usually
love
look at
that.
it.
Yeah, and you're right by this. Like even on Twitter, as a brand, so as Ardy Marketing, I chat with other people on particular items, and maybe it's about digital marketing or marketing strategies or something like that. Then people can get to know about who Ardy is, because and it's at zero cost.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say this, that this is what I'm actually instilling on all our startup founders. And in fact, I'm going to say this to business owners and in fact, marketers. If public speaking is not part of your, core, and being a face of what you do, you start to embrace it, because you have to be out there. Not necessarily your face all the time, but in everything you do, you're on social media talking to people. That's being out there. That doesn't cost you a thing. Commenting, engaging, being part of a conversation. Sometimes it doesn't have to be in business. The other day, there was a Twitter thread going on about firstborns complaining about the duties of a firstborn. And I was in there because I'm a firstborn. I was like, hey, I quit. I quit this job. I quit. I'm done. Because firstborns, we are the deputy parent, we are forgotten, blah, blah, blah. And it was an interesting conversation. The next day, I don't know how many followers. I have no idea why, but maybe because I engaged there. And, so that's what I'm saying. It's not always business, as Janet is saying, but be out there, talk, so that people know you, get to know about you, and then they get to find out about your brand. Oh, and remember, people remember you because of how you make them feel. And that also connects to your brand. How does your brand make people feel? But if you don't go there and make your brand human, then people will never connect and buy from your brand. But the only way to make your brand human is by being out there and connecting it, so they see the human behind the brand.
Wow.
That's
I think
great.
I'll share. There's something I've shared in your DM. You can be able to share. I'm using my phone, so I shared in your Twitter DM, Ardy Marketing. You can share with them. It's a thread on how to build your brand on a zero budget on social media. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. There you go. So resource galore. There's tons of resources. Again, even that, Google is your friend. To Google for 10 things I could do for free marketing my brand. There's so many people who've shared how to do marketing with zero budget, and some may be international. Borrow the ones that relate. I've seen people stand in a CBD with a sign, "I need a job." And then they wind up somewhere you're like, oh my God, I thought only that happens in some other universe. You could say, hey, I'm selling Blue Band.
It's pushing yourself.
Yeah, I know. Or ask me about marketing. I don't know. You could do some stunt like that. Or I don't know. Remember the Ghanaian guy? There's a video about a Ghanaian guy who wears a suit and he pushes a cart with vegetables, and his cart is beautifully made. The vegetables are arranged. All the stuff he's selling in the cart is beautifully put, and and he's dressed to the nine. He's driving a mkokoteni selling goods, but the way he presents himself, you want to buy from this man. It's the way he presents his brand that you want to buy from this man.
And then something else. I think there are so many unique ways that people haven't realized out here that you can, maybe you have that idea, you're scared of pushing it out. Have you tried it? Yesterday, I saw a tweet on my timeline. I was just browsing through, and then I saw it, and then somebody it's a link. It's a car. At the back of the window pane, there is a link, bit.ly link. And then everybody keeps on wondering, why will you write a bit.ly link at the back of your car, And then opening it, you know, it was marketing. It was not a scam. There are a lot of there are a lot of not marketing. There are a lot of books of African authors, hundreds and hundreds of books. People were sharing about it on social media. And that's how they became popular. They are a group of writers and authors. So they used actually a very awkward way. Somebody decided to take a photo, share it on social media. People decided to try if the link works. They found a very resourceful drive. And so that is why we keep on saying, can you do also something out in the box? Think about something outside the marketing strategies we keep on telling you about. The ideas that there is something you can do. So can you do it? You never know. That might end up becoming one of the viral marketing tweet or post you've ever done, you know?
So in fact, from that, I would really want to go into this question, which kind of fits in right there, is what would you term as success after running a campaign or failure? So what would you term as success or failure after running a campaign?
Success or failure. For me, success doesn't have to completely meet the targets or the KPIs that you put, but at least you saw some growth in it and you saw some changes, the way people responded, the way people interacted. Some of them, if it goes past, the better, because most of the time we put targets to help us work towards them. But if we meet them, that's the best success ever. But if we don't, did we do something that at least added value? That's the main thing. When you talk about failure, of course, doing a campaign and people are just perusing through, you're not seeing any reaction, you're not seeing any engagement, you're not seeing anything. Of course, that should keep you worried. But I like the fact that marketing strategies are always flexible. So can you try all your best to keep on changing them from week to week? Can you focus on what is trending, what is happening, so that you can also set your brand in the mood of your surrounding?
I love that. And it's data, right? I mean, like, and I love what you started with, is that objective, the KPIs, right? So of course, that's the most important part. You know, if your KPIs, you met them or you didn't meet them, or what percentage of that did you meet? Because that also becomes like a way of knowing what worked and what didn't work, and how can you improve maybe the process. In fact, one of the things Eunice and I do, and Eunice, I'd like to talk about this a little bit, is when we're running a campaign, we always tweak things around with the information that we get. Can you say something about that?
Sure. And to begin with, we've got goals. We've been given the goals, and we've decided these are our key metrics. And so our success is going to be defined as we achieve those. So when you think about that, so we've done a campaign, and we're maybe 3 weeks in, and we're seeing a trend going one way or the other. And maybe there's even an A/B testing going that we've done, and we think, oh, I think this is going one way. So, for example, 70% of the ads that we're seeing, the traffic is going one way completely. So you turn off or you heavily weight the budget to the 70%, but you still keep the budget on the 30 because you still want the data on the 30 to see what that's about, because it's still 30 is a big chunk of traffic still to be having. So you want that data to tell you, to give you some information. Who are these people resonating? You might find it's a different demographic, lifestyle, market, income bracket. So that gives you a data to tell you maybe it's a new market that you hadn't thought about. So, for example, it's Uganda coming in or Tanzania coming in. So you start to get that information. So that's one reason.
Great, Eunice, and I love that. It's important to do a bit of testing and using the data. And like we said, I mean, the KPIs, metrics, what are you measuring? Really get to know about what successes and failures are. One of the metrics could be how many engagements or how many eyeballs has it gone, because that's a brand awareness thing.
Yes.
Or it could be, I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily mean how many people are inquiring. Inquiries could be another level of it. If you're just starting on, would definitely recommend, when you're starting a campaign, give it 3 months before anyone is going to inbox you, because people are getting to know your brand, right? You're creating that brand awareness. So the first 3 months could just be that you're actually creating the brand awareness about something. And then after that, now you'll start getting inquiries, you'll start getting engagement, you start getting stuff, you know. So of course, that's really important to know.
Quick add, Reema, quick
yeah.
add. So avoid the spray and pray. This is where you've got this budget, but you are just throwing it out there to see what sticks. That's what we call the spray, and you're praying something happens. Be very, very targeted. Remember your goals, and then align your campaign to those goals. Don't just say, okay, here's the money, let's see what happens.
Yeah, good point there. Spray and pray is literally, you don't know the target audience, you want everyone to buy it, but you know that everyone's not going to buy it. So you've got to be more strategic about who you're actually sending this to, right? Which is why we keep saying, even when we're saying influencers, who's your target audience? Does your influencer talk to that target audience as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's important. Okay, I'm going to ask one of the team members again to share about the next event that's happening. I want people to know about this before we close. We've got about 15 minutes of questions that we're going to answer. But I just want everyone to know that our next webinar is actually going to be on social media marketing. So of course, we're having a conversation around what do you need to do when you're talking about marketing on social media. And of course, that includes, you know, your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram, even your LinkedIn, right? So social media, I mean, LinkedIn is such a powerful tool. In fact, Janet, maybe while this is on and, you know, people are sort of grasping this, I want you to tell the participants here, what do you think about LinkedIn marketing? And why would someone use LinkedIn for marketing?
Wow. And like so many people think LinkedIn is just for you to showcase your skills, you know, your new upgrade to a new a new position in a company, or you're getting into another company. LinkedIn has the pages also, as much as you can look at it from the personal brand. If you have a company and if you have a startup that you want it to at least have something to do on LinkedIn, go for the LinkedIn pages. It just works the same as Facebook page. You can be able to do a lot on it. You can share more about your brand. You can do articles, and actually most of the people usually still up to date. Look at LinkedIn as a place where they can go and get resourceful content to be able to read. So if you can write blogs about your product or different topics within your industry, you can share on LinkedIn. And another thing, if it's a personal brand, there's a lot of engagements you can be part of. Grow the networks, apart from just you thinking, you know what, I'm going to share my achievements. You can engage with other people through the insights that you're sharing from the industry and their insights that they are sharing.
Great. I mean, you know, one of the things for sure you can also do is, I love it because it's a really business oriented or you know, like a work oriented space, you know. So your social aspect in there is quite a bit. So if you connect with somebody that you always wanted to speak to, they're more likely to reply back to you on a LinkedIn page, right? You know, you want a particular company, you want to speak to somebody in that company. If you write to them, if you speak to them, more likely that you'll actually get a response from them as well. LinkedIn is great to actually grow your professional space, but getting to people to know about what your product or service is, really good way. And Eunice, I know that you use LinkedIn quite a bit as well. Maybe you want to add to that as well.
Of course. I think the one place you want to be a thought leader is begin there. It's the one place you establish yourself as an expert. Like Janet said, you know, you're going to write content and you're really committed to it, really committed to it. So don't start and stop and disappear. Do it. Get there and do video, get there and do written content. Update your LinkedIn as often as possible. Share your content and then share other people's content. You'll find that then people begin to look and see what you've got to say. Sometimes I'll share something and it's somebody else's content I'm amplifying, and it it blows up. And sometimes I'll share something and LinkedIn will tell me, oh, Eunice, if you add so-and-so, and it will sometimes tell me who to add, this content will reach X amount of people. So it tells you how much how powerful LinkedIn can be. Now, in the advertising space of LinkedIn can be on the expensive side. It's $2 per click, for acquisition. So you've got to be very, very careful, very, very targeted with LinkedIn. Know what you're doing, but it can get you what you need to get. So if you're doing in sponsors, or where somebody's reading their email, the messages, they're seeing your ad right up there, or within in the email, you can send them a sponsored email. So you can send a sponsored email to targeted companies in Kenya. So be targeted with LinkedIn because of how expensive it can be. So it's a great tool to have.
Great. Lovely. Thanks, Eunice, for that. And thanks, Janet. So yeah, we have this webinar coming up. It is on the 9th of September, 3 p.m. Nairobi time. Do register for it and then come and join us for that. We'll have a really nice, proper webinar. It's not going to be a Q&A, but we'll have a Q&A after that as well in September, towards the end of September. All right, we've got a really interesting question in here. It's a funny one, and I really like it. Is it safe for a brand to run a marketing campaign using memes?
Yeah, it's safe. It's safe because memes are there they are actually grouped under the most engaged, and they make most of the people stop. But make sure that the meme you're using is not going to bring any problems to your brand and to that campaign that you're going to run. So it's okay to add it as part of your marketing strategy. It's okay to add memes as part of your marketing strategy, but be selective. Know which ones might not bring any backlash or different meanings through the content that you're trying to put across. So it's okay. Add memes into your strategies, because those are part of some of the content that actually create the engagement and create the conversations around your brand. They might not give you direct customers or direct leads, but they will help your brand be seen more.
I want to add to that, if you can, create your own memes so that you own them. So you're not using somebody else and then they come for, you know what I'm saying? Yes.
Money.
Yes.
Great. Lovely. So I know we're coming to the end of this. If we have any feedback, I'd love the feedback that someone else has given in here right now. Martin, hello, can you please also share short summarized videos on your YouTube channel? Thanks for that. We've been trying to do this, and we should stop trying and really just do it instead. So, Martin, thank you for that feedback. Really appreciate it. We've got a QR code as well as a bit.ly link. If you can just give us feedback on how you like the webinar. It's a two-step feedback form where you can put your feedback, and then after that, on the second step, you can then choose whether you would like to copy paste on Facebook or on Google. We would love to hear about what you think about our webinars and what you think about our services, what you think about us. Please do that. Again, I'm going to ask the team to actually share that if they have it. But I don't know if there's any other questions that are in here that I've missed out. I know there are a couple of questions I have missed out over here, but just because of the time, and I want everyone to make sure that you go and have lunch, because we've done this over lunch. I know why we call it coffee chat, but it's maybe a lunch chat or something.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it's across the world.
Yes.
Yes. So, but thank you for the feedback on that. Here we go.
Honestly, it shouldn't end the conversation though. If we didn't answer any question, Find us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Follow us up there and ask the question. When we can answer it in depth via those channels or email, the emails are there so that we can respond to you directly, and you can ask directly considering your brand, if it's brand specific or it's career specific. We're so happy you are here. We're so happy to have had this engaging conversation. Janet is phenomenal. She's awesome people. Great person. Please follow her on Twitter. She usually has amazing conversations there. Tweet chat, Africa Tweet Chat, awesome. Usually the time they have it, I am trying to catch some Z's because some girls need beauty sleep. They need all the help they can get. But in the morning, if you're not up at that time, I usually try and go get some insights. There's awesome nuggets in there. The experts that they have will give you anything and everything, because from content, social media, everything that we need to get ourselves, conversant with what we need to grow our businesses in the marketing realm. All right. So if you're just getting started in marketing, that's where I'd go first. So please find her there, and in fact ask her a question there too, in tag us so we can respond as well. All right, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Should I leave them with something to think about?
Absolutely. Yes.
I think most of the people usually think about the marketing strategies when they have a product or when they want to launch something, but it shouldn't be the case. A marketing strategy should be there with you all the time, because it's what you're going to, this is what is going to help you to constantly check your data, your analytics, and be able to analyze what is happening with my brand, what is happening with my audience. And it will help you plan better for even the new products that you are about to launch for that particular company or brand. So think about that. And for those who haven't thought about having their own companies, start with learning and keep yourselves learning. And always know this: there might not be a new way to approach your marketing strategy or your campaign, but there are people who haven't engaged with the already there marketing campaign. So still build it. There's a gap, there's an audience. There's no gap, but there's an audience. Yeah, build it.
That's amazing, Janet. Thank you so much for that. And really appreciate you being here today with us and, spending your time. We're growing a community here as well, and you're being part of that community. We really appreciate you coming today. So thank you so much for that. I know there's some other questions in here. We did a webinar about the marketing campaign. Please share I'm just going to ask them again to share that link of the YouTube video where you can be able to get the recording. But if you are going to join the WhatsApp group that we've created, we will also share it on that WhatsApp group, the link to the YouTube channel where we did the recording for the webinar. What you see on the screen over here is a QR code going directly into the Ardy Marketing feedback page. So you can also do that. For some reason, I'm not able to do it. I just tried right now and I wasn't able to do it, but then you still have it on the chat. And I would like to thank each and every one of you, the participants here today, for coming today and spending the time with us and asking your questions. This is not the end. Please come onto the chat on the WhatsApp. You can ask us questions there. We have an email listing. We have like a calendar. You can select like a 30 minutes free session with us to ask us questions on that. Of course, you get only one 30-minute free session, but but please do reach out to us on email. You can reach out to us on our social media pages. Please do follow us. Follow Eunice as my biz marketer. Follow Reema. Follow Ardy Marketing. Follow Janet on social media pages. Follow Africa Tweet Chat, and Asante Sana for being here today. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. Thank you, Janet. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.